We'll let everyone make their way in there and give everyone a minute as normal, just to make sure they're all logged in and they can hear us talking. Hey, Palin, hope you're feeling all right. All right, looks like we've got a few people, just connecting as well. For those of you who don't know, my name is James. I'm the export manager here at the brewery. We've got a few of us here from the brewery and from other breweries as well joining us this evening. So I'll do the full intro in just a sec once everyone's connected up properly. So I'll give it another few seconds on there. For those of you who haven't already, we'll often talk about the beer temperatures. So we'll talk through all of them tonight. If you're going to drink along on some of the beers, the Necessary Evil Cognac, I'd recommend getting out. If you popped it in the fridge, grab it out of there as well. You can let that one warm up just a little bit first too. So the other one's perfect to have in advance. We're going to start on the Brewgooder beer, the Win Hill. So if anyone needs to grab the first beer, please grab that one now. And like I say, we'll get started shortly. I think most people are just about there now as well. So, all right. So recognize most of the faces coming through on here. I'm sure we'll have a few others joining as we go. Just to let you know, my name's James. I'm the export manager at Thornbridge Brewery. I'm joined this evening from Thornbridge. We've got Rebecca, our marketing manager. We've got Charlotte, our events coordinator. We've got Khan, who does our social media marketing coordinator. We've got James, one of our brewers. And just spied Alan there, our Manchester sales rep, popped in as well. So there's a few of us here from the brewery, and we're joined by actually quite a few people who've come to help talk through the different beers with us this evening. So we've got Harrie from Brewgooder, we've got Sam from Wild Beer, and we've got Ruth and Andy from Elusive as well. So thank you all very much, firstly, for joining us this evening, for taking the time out and talking us through all the beers. Just a general note, we'll go through, I'll talk through the 5 beers that you've got in your monthly beer subscription box, but don't feel obliged to sort of drink each one along. Typically, we'll be here for about an hour. Don't want everyone having to feel the pressure to work their way through 5 of those. So we'll show you what they look like, talk you through them all. So if you take them up, tomorrow evening over the weekend, then you've got all the tasting notes in your brain there ready to go as well. And of course, in your handy booklet too that you have as well. So first things first, don't want anyone getting thirsty. We're here for beer. So we'll start first off with the Brewgooder collab. So I'll show you the beer we've got itself first, and then I'll pass it on to Harrie after that. But like I say, we don't want people sitting here getting thirsty. So we'll pour out the Brewgooder. So for any of you, I mentioned we're starting on this one. We've taken it out of the fridge. It's only a lower ABV, kicking in at 4.1 to get us started here. You've got that nice, slightly hazy, juicy, and then you've got the nice white head going around here as well. It's a very easy drinking, great starting beer for tonight. You've got lots of Amarillo, there's Mosaic, Azaka in here. So what you're going to expect is those big tropical fruit notes starting to come through, and it follows through with that soft palate, real easy drinkability, and a nice, refreshing starting beer. And so hopefully now people have poured these ones out or began on any of the other beers we have this evening. And I'll pass over to Harrie from Brewgooder to tell us all about Brewgooder and everything they're doing at the moment.
Hi everyone, this is by far the most people I've seen in ages, which is lovely. So thanks Thornbridge for having me along. So I'm from Brewgooder. I don't know how much you guys have heard of Brewgooder, but it's basically beer with a difference. So our model's slightly different to a traditional brewery. Brewgooder was set up in 2016 by our 2 founders, Alan and James, basically with the idea that everyone loves a pint. Beer brings people together. There's loads of amazing positives that it does generally, and the idea that building a brewery that creates beers that do that a little bit more. So with every Brewgooder beer, we're contributing X amount to clean water projects around the world. So this beer itself is actually part of our 100 times series. If you have a little look at the can, it should say that on the back. And it basically means that with each and every one of our cans, pints, kegs, 100 times the volume is unlocked in clean water projects around the world. We've got like an incredible charity partner called Charity Water. They work in 22 different countries around the world, and so far since it was set up, there's been, I think, well over 1 million litres of water that's been unlocked in clean water projects. And so I guess it's quite a nice point that we're starting with this one. As you guys know, it's 4.1%, pretty easy going, nothing too much. And that's basically the whole idea. We love our beers as a team, big into our craft bits and bobs, but equally completely unashamed that we're making kind of gateway beers. We don't think fridge fillers is a negative. Happy to have things that you can sit and session on, and creating great beers that are tasty, good quality, that anyone can sort of have a go of, and then maybe lead into the stronger stuff along the way. Yeah, no, it's a really wonderful brand. I joined about 5 months ago, based up in Glasgow. I moved up from Leeds. I was at Northern Monk previously. And yeah, it's just a wonderful Scottish brand. Kind of expanding, actually. Last year, there was only 2 of them, the 2 founders that were chugging along. And in the past year, we've grown to a team of 9 of us, which obviously means the impact we can make is so much bigger. But yeah, collaborating is a huge part of what we're doing. We've worked with Northern Monk, Magic Rock, Vocation recently, and this Thornbridge collab is super exciting because it's going to be hitting the shelves in Co-op in about, I think, a few weeks' time now, which is a bit of a big deal. It's going to be part of a wonderful series that we've got with Co-op, in which we'll be doing these collaborations with different breweries across the UK and maybe beyond, further down the line. But basically giving that guarantee that with each can, you're doing this amount of good. Now, if you have a look and you are a bit tech savvy in any way, there's a little QR code on the back. If you give a scan, and it's worth giving a warning with this, it's with any QR code. If you give it a little scan, it takes you through to see the exact impact that you've made. So for each one of these, that's 33 litres of clean water. And yeah, we have an amazing growing community of people who are engaged very much on the values front and the purpose front, our B Corp community. And then we've also got wonderful beer fans who are enjoying having just kind of nice chuggers, easygoing beers. And so it's, I guess, definitely introducing beer to a world of people that maybe wouldn't have seen it before, but are interested in the values and purpose side of things. And also, I guess, bringing that element to the beer world, which can be a tricky place sometimes. So yeah, basically doing nice things, trying to work with as many people as we can and creating some really crushable tasty stuff along the way. And I was saying to the Thornbridge guys, I've only actually managed to get my hands on this tonight with you lot, and absolutely delighted to actually get a New England taste coming through on a 4.1, I think is a massive achievement. So thank you so much for nailing that for us, guys. That's probably it for me. I feel like I've word splurged, but yeah, cheers.
No, thanks. It's appreciate you taking the time and joining us. You know, it's something, you know, of course, we're passionate about here, and, you know, being out in the Peak District, we see it every day. It's, and then being able to have a beer like Win Hill, where we can celebrate a little bit of that and do good with it as well. It seems like a perfect combination, really. So, yeah, much appreciated. And I know you mentioned briefly about things coming up. Is there anything else for us to look out for you can tell us about, or is it hush hush at the moment?
I reckon definitely hush hush to the point that I'm even being kept out of some very exciting plans, it seems. But we've got lots of collabs underway. Our birthday's on World Water Day, which is in March. It was when we were born, I guess, back in 2016. And there's big things to come, is basically what I've been told. It's okay. Yeah, that's kind of where it's all kicking off. I can't really say much on what, but keep an eye out on World Water Day, and yeah, give us a follow on socials if you're interested in joining our lovely community, guys. That'd be lovely. Okay,
so World Water Day in March. Yeah, definitely. We'll keep an eye out for that. Sounds exciting. And as you mentioned, the QR code there is on the can. We've also popped the QR code inside the January subscription box leaflet as well. And Rebecca has just put a link in the chat on the side as well. So if anyone's interested for more details, more info, As Harrie was just mentioning there's lots of other collabs that have been done with some fantastic breweries around the UK too. So take the chance to look up a bit more there as well and see anything else. And yeah, fantastic. It's a good excuse to brew a nice beer too. So yeah, thank you again for that one. And is there anything else, while you've got the guys here, you wanted to pass on, or is it best going to the website and then just finding out more of the other beers and things like that too?
Go to the website and have a look. I definitely would say actually my most exciting thing of the week has been we literally last week released a little session, New England IPA, which is well worth a try if this floats your boat. Actually, not too far off, really tasty. But yeah, it's a great range. We do wonderful subscription service. I'd say if you're interested in the story, definitely check out the website. Got amazing blog posts throughout. We do a lot of community work. Also, yeah, if you want to get that nice, reliable fridge filler on the go with a subscription, it's probably a good place to start. Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you. And a degree, certainly, we love a fridge filler here as well at Thornbridge. So yeah, it's a nice mix of brands and work that we're doing together. So fantastic. Yeah, exciting to see what you've got coming up in March and in the future as well too. And so from there, so I'm sure everyone's been enjoying. James. Pardon? Sorry. Cool. I'm sure everyone's been enjoying the Brewgooder to kick us off.
Sorry. Oh no.
I think we're crossing there slightly, but no worries. But yeah, so from here we'll move on. So the next beer that we're going to look at this evening. So again, we've been joined Sam on the line here as well, and we've also got James, one of our brewers, taking the time as well this evening to join us and talk through the beer. So I'll pass on, please, guys. Tell us a bit about Release the Stars.
So Release the Stars, we wanted to get out there into the world again this year as Wild Beer and do some collabs again. It's obviously been a weird couple of 2 years gone by. I think one of the last ones we probably did was with Brewgooder when we did No Water, where we took whey from the dairy next door. We share a site with Westcombe Dairy. So for Water Brew, we use their whey as our brewing liquor. It was kind of a fun project. We made a milk chocolate stout. Anyway, this one, we reached out to Thornbridge and Rob and asked if we could get you guys on board for the first kickoff collab of the season. And this year, for my side of it anyway, I wanted to investigate thiols. You guys might know thiols from Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and those kind of tomcat peony gooseberry leaf aromas you get in a classic Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. So that's one kind of thiol. There's a couple of others that you come across in hop. So if you think about Citra and Mosaic, you get lots of tropical fruit flavors. Those are probably thiols. And Simcoe, if you think about Simcoe hops, you get some really nice citrus characters. So it's kind of three kind of thiols you come across in the hop. But those are three thiols, and what I was wanting to get to was to release some of the bound thiols. And apparently, hops and malt have loads of bound thiols in there. So that's kind of where we were going with this, and we were trying to release some of those bound thiols. To go there, I mean, we got James to come down for the day and brew with us, which was great. We were looking at, we did a hop walk actually with Charles Farron, one of our hop suppliers, who we normally get all our New Zealand hops from, but they're a purveyor of English hops as well. So we went out on a hop walk with those guys, rubbed loads of hops in the field, and came across Harlequin, which is a new English hop that's kind of been released. 2020 hops were the first year, so we got some of the 2021, which was a decent, finally grown a decent quantity. So we got some of those, and we also brought in some Calypso hops. We should probably pour it though, because I can see some thirsty faces out. Let's pour the beer into the glass, and then you can smell what I'm on about. So we did all sorts to try and release some of those thiols from the hops and the malt. The Calypso is apparently full of bound thiols and a really good donor, so we put that in the whirlpool. The yeast is the thing that does the releasing of the hence the Release the Stars releasing of those thiols from the bound. We chose our German lager yeast as apparently a very good one for doing that job. And rather than call it warm lager, we went for the steam beer moniker, which is kind of sounds a bit sexy. It's a bit, doesn't have the same ring as cold IPA, does it? So it's a steam beer, which, you know, the San Francisco brewers were doing back in the day, and yeah, warm lager. So hopefully if you give it a swirl and a sniff, yes, it might be sulfury, but hopefully that sulfur is the thiols that we've managed to get out of there. We had one of the packaging team go, oh, smells like tomcat pea. But actually, if you think about Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, tomcat pea on a gooseberry leaf, it's kind of there. I was like, yes, come on, we got it. And Andrew, one of our founders, was, you know, blindfolded me and I could get Marlborough Sauvignon. So I was really happy with the feedback from that, because that kind of suggested we'd hit the target. If you taste it, you get a really nice fruity hop character. It's light, it's crisp, probably lighter, to give you an idea, to try and drive the yeast to do what we wanted to do. We thin down the nutrients from the malt. So if you use 100% malt, you get loads of nutrients from the malt. You get lots of proteins, amino acids that feed the yeast up. So to make this yeast try and do what we wanted to do, which was to release the thiols, you have to starve it. So we actually used about 30% maize in this beer, which will add to that lighter, crisper character in the malt flavour. And that was to, yeah, as I say, drive the yeast to create an enzyme, free up those thiols. So that's kind of where this has all come about. James, did you want to say anything on your day down at Wild Beer?
I think you've covered everything really. But yeah, had a great day down there with you guys. Did the double brew, and yeah, I mean the product is really spot on for what you're trying to go for. I get loads of like kiwi, grapefruit. It's really good, really clean.
So while James was with us, we actually put the same wort into a couple of casks and pitched some different wine yeasts in there. And so when we tried all three beers side by side, we ended up with three completely different beers. So it's really interesting what that yeast has done to the same ingredient, you know, same wort and hop dosings. So we got, with one of them, we got a really fruity tropical flavor. With the second, we got something, I don't know if you guys, how much you guys have had our beers, but we make one called Wild IPA with our Saison blend and Talus hops, and it gave, and the second yeast just gave all those characters, so some phenolics, some of that kind of coconut character that the Talus hops give. It was bizarre. It was like almost like we've got Wild IPA in the and then this one, which was much more in that kind of blackcurrant Sauvignon, excuse me. In fact, this one, Sauvignon blackcurrant flavors. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard without the chat, but if you is anybody getting anything specific from that beer?
No, I mean, to be honest, between you and James, nailed it really, from the description, from brewing the beer itself, of course. It's fantastic, you know, sitting here. I said already, you know, try all the beers before we come to actually tasting them like this evening. And so it's been a good one to sort of just sit down, relax, really enjoy. And now while we're talking as well, it's a perfect one to tuck into too. So you can see, thank you for explaining through that as well. It's very interesting to hear a bit more of that side of it and how you came through with the beer and the brew day with James coming down. And so is this something you're continuing? Are you going to try with the different hops? You mentioned, of course, there's lots of Harlequin in this. Are you going to be looking to do this more in the future?
Yeah, so I as I said, we're going to do some collaborations across the year. We've got one coming out, if it's not actually even just been released, with St. Miles of the Desert.
I think we maybe just lost you there, Sam. Sorry, Rebecca, have we just lost Sam there?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. He's just frozen on mine, so I think he might
Okay.
have.
Sorry. Well, We'll just check with him there. James, well, we've got you on as well. Anything from your day? I know you mentioned you'd gone down and brewed it as well. Was there anything, you know, you'd sort of picked up from doing this from the side of Thornbridge?
Yeah, no, we, other than the brew, did a barrel tasting, went down to their barrel store, helped them with blending the odd modus, and that was really fascinating. Taking the difference between each of the individual barrel. That was probably one of my highlights today, aside from the brew. But yeah, it was a really, really interesting team. Really, really good day. I think Sam covered everything in terms of the brew, in terms of the science side of it, and what we're aiming for. But yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, we've done.
I did crack a can open with my family, and they were all picking up on all the sort of vinous characters. Even my dad, who doesn't usually pick up on everything. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, it's good. It is, yeah, it certainly comes across. And as you explained it there earlier as well, you know, you can really pick those flavors out within the beer. So something very interesting and great to do. We've worked with Wild Beer Co. numerous times over the years. If people remember beers like Tart, for example, which turned into a series for us as well. You know, we've had we've got on very well. We've had them at our different festivals. We've done events with them. So they're always fantastic to team up with the guys and, you know, either go down to them, get them up to see us and brew some nice beers up as well. So I'll see if hopefully we get Sam back a bit later and he can tell us a little bit more about, you know, Wild Beer and their upcoming plans as well. I assume, you know, of course, we've got lots of beer fans on this evening, so they'll all know, or you'll all know a bit more about Wild and all their different experiments. But if you haven't seen them before, head to their website, follow them on social media. They make some absolutely fantastic beers and lots of funky styles, lots of great varieties. So check them out a bit further as well. And then from there, I'll tell you a little bit more about our next beer that we've got coming up here. So we've worked through the first two, which were collaborations. We've got Andy and Ruth shortly as well to talk through Superuser. But in the meantime, we'll work our way up in the ABV and I'll tell you a little more about Quiet Storm. So we've got Quiet Storm. It's the first in our single hop series. And so we wanted to do a series of beers to be able to really showcase the different hop styles. So we'll be working mainly on a base of Maris Otter malts. So it allows that we work with a lot of the time. It's a base malt for us in a huge amount of our different beers. And it does really allow that shining through of the different characters. So to kick it off, we've gone for Idaho 7. Throughout the year, you're going to notice us doing a number of Quiet Storms. There'll be a similar design, so you'll see the Quiet Storm name and then the hop type in here as well. We love brewing single hops again for that. So we want to, partly it's educational, you know, for ourselves, we can see what these hops can do, but we're also going out to people and saying, look, if you haven't had Idaho 7 as a single hop before, this is your chance to try it. And then you go on, you try beers with it in, and you're able to pull this out. So it's always quite fun to do these and to allow the flavors just to really come in. And Idaho 7, you're going to get, you know, it's known for this kind of tangerine-y, like apricot-y. So this almost not jammy, but getting towards that where it's that nice, sweet kind of mango-y flavor in there, a little bit of grapefruit. And what people will be able to pull out is almost, it gives you this little kind of herbal kick in there, this tea flavor that just really peeks through. If you're looking for something you can pull out that gives a slightly different option on the palate as well there. So this is a really unique hop. We thought we wanted to kick it off. You know, we didn't want to go straight into our series with a big hop like Citra or something like that straight away. We thought we'd try it with and not a newer hop, but well, one that's not been around for too long that we know a lot of people won't have had Idaho 7 single hop beers. And we thought, perfect, we can kick it off with this and get people trying it. And hopefully everyone gets quite excited for this series as it comes out through the year. So you'll see more of this beer, more of this series, all under the Quiet Storm label, and they'll all be coming through too. So kicks us off nicely with this one. And so before we get in, I thought we've actually, now we're coming into the new year, we have lots of events coming up. So as always, if people are out and about, please do come and see us. And Charlotte, our events coordinator, if you don't mind talking us through a little bit of what we've got coming up, where you can see us. In fact, you and I are down at the Eagle in Sheffield next Thursday night in person, and then any others from there, Charlotte.
Yeah, so tomorrow night's actually quite exciting at the Fox and Hounds in Caversham, so just outside Reading. We're doing a tap takeover with the guys at Elusive, so they'll have our beers and Elusive beers on, and it's a bit of a beer launch for the collaboration beer we're trying tonight. So if anyone is in that area, it's definitely worth popping down because there'll be guys from both the breweries down there for a chat if you want to talk through anything more. Next week, we've got quite a lot stacked up next week. So from Wednesday, the 26th, we're at the Crew Dog in Crewe, and that'll be a full tap takeover there. So there'll be keg and cask on. So it should be a really great lineup. There's some old classics and then some collaborations and some new beers as well. So that looks like a great one. Then we've got Thursday and Friday at the Stalybridge Buffet Bar. So back up a little bit further north, we're doing a crisp butty and beer pairing menu with them. So I think you have to actually get tickets for that one. But we've worked with the guys over at Stalybridge Buffet Bar and come up with some beer pairings to go with some crisp butties, which they are sort of a bit famous for. So I think it'll be really good fun if you do get the chance to go over there. We're also in Manchester on the Thursday night. So myself and Alan will be there. We'll be around from about 7 o'clock just to talk through a few beers. I think we've got about 6 beers pouring there. And then we will be doing a pub quiz from 8 o'clock. And there's all sorts of Thornbridge goodies to win. So if you're in the Northwest, it's definitely worth popping down to Manchester. We've got the Eagle tasting in Sheffield, which James has just mentioned, which I can't do with him, unfortunately. Sorry about that, James, but he will be there with James Buxton, who is one of our Northern sales managers. So I'm sure it'll be a good time. They're both very knowledgeable and won't miss me at all. So if you're around Sheffield area, it's worth grabbing a ticket to that one. We've got all of these events on our Facebook page as well, and that's got links to tickets, and it lets you know if they're free. So you can just have a little look on there. And then on Saturday, the 29th, we've got Charlie, one of our sales guys, is popping out to Cheltenham. So he's at Cheltenham Motor Club, and they've got a tap takeover there. And I think he'll be taking some bits and bobs of beer and merch down too. So if you want to grab any Thornbridge goodies down sort of further towards the southwest, then that is definitely the place to head.
Thank you. And yeah, the crisp butty one, I remember a few years ago doing a Scotch egg pairing with a food night as well. So, you know, they certainly know their stuff. So yeah, that would be an awesome one to go down to. Alan, who's on here, yeah, he's going to be making his way along. And certainly you'll be missed at the Eagle next week, Charlotte, but I'm sure me and Buxton will be able to, you know, manage the load there as well. I did see
James, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I saw a point about that. There are a lot of Jameses and a lot of James Bs. I think 4 James Bs, 5 maybe even. So I don't know. We've got a beer called Jamestown, so suddenly it all starts to make sense. But I think, Rebs, did you say have we got Sam back on there as well?
We have, yeah. I was just going to add that we've got a virtual tasting as well.
Okay.
Which I think, Khan, if I'm right, is the 2nd of February.
Yep. If I remember, I'll double check now, and I'll put it in the chat when I.
But yeah, it's over on Facebook. We sort of thought with lots of people going back into isolation at the moment, or you know, maybe not being out and about quite as much, we'd do another Facebook Live, which I think we did one around this time. So yeah, doing that via Facebook. So all the details on that are over on our Facebook page, but that's on the 2nd of February. If you're missing the TBC tasting and can't possibly wait to the next one, then you know, feel free to come over and join us on Facebook. And yes, Sam is back here somewhere amongst the faces.
Yeah, and please come drink some virtual beers with us on Facebook as well. All right, Sam, have we got you back here?
Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know what happened.
No problem.
3G here and Martin Mowbray dropping out.
No worries. Well, we sort of thank you again for talking through the beer, but I didn't want to leave you without giving you the chance to tell us, you know, I was saying to everyone to head to your website, your socials. Most people will know Wild, of course, already. But is there anything, you mentioned a collab that you've done with St. Mars, but is there anything you've got coming up, any events you're doing, anything like that we should look out for or find you at?
Yeah, I guess this year's going to be our 10th anniversary, so there should be stuff coming up later in the year for the 10th birthday. Beer and Cheese is back on again this year. For anybody who's been down to Beer and Cheese, it's always a great day out down at the brewery. We as I said, we share a site with Westcombe Dairy, so they provide the cheese, we provide the beer, the brewery tours, the barrel cellar, etc., music and stuff. So that's always a good day out. We coming up. Well, I suppose just recently we've done a grapefruit IPA, so for dry January, if that's your thing. That's tasting really good. It's got some mosaic spectrum in there. It's got lots of different grapefruit. So we've got grapefruit juice, grapefruit zest, and some grapefruit concentrate. So that's really nice. We've got Six Nations beers coming out. So we did talk about kicking off a collab series. We did 6 collabs over Christmas after you guys came. And so we've got those. We're just packaging those between now and next Wednesday. So that's a beer for each nation to be drunk with friends, but obviously with the rugby if you're into the rugby. We've got a couple of releases coming up towards the end of the month from the barrel cellar. So we're re-releasing Schnoodle Pip, which was one of our early barrel releases, which is a pink peppercorn saison with hibiscus and passion fruit, which is really delicious, and a single fooder coolship release. So kind of in the middle of the lockdown, in the COVID period, we were trying one of our fooders, and it just had this most amazing apricot character. And so thankfully last year's coolship has done exactly the same thing in exactly the same fooder. So this year we decided to package it on its own because it was so worthy. So that's coming out, and that's going to get relaunched in our new 500ml bottle. So some exciting stuff coming out.
Wow. Yeah.
As I think James already said, yeah. Well, always, unfortunately, it's like always going hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, just if I think somebody's probably put it out there, but wildbeerco.com, and then just link to the shop and just have a browse around. Loads of stuff going on all the time.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, again, you wouldn't expect anything less from Wild Beer. You've always pushing the boundaries and just brewing crazy beers, really, and fantastic ones as well. So it's yeah, thank you for that. We'll be keeping an eye out. And like you say, yeah, with Beer and Cheese back on now, it'd be a great chance to go down and see in the beautiful location you've got down there as well.
Yeah, we regularly have a lot of interesting stuff from the cellars, which have been made, and maybe we always put a few kegs aside to bring out on special occasions. So it's a good chance to see those. Awesome,
brilliant. Well, yeah, fantastic. Thank you for rejoining us as well and letting us know a bit more. Like I say, I'm sure everyone will be heading there to check out that fantastic list of upcoming specials as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them too. And then, so look on to actually the collab that we've got. So we've got 2 more beers to talk about this evening. And so the next one will be Superuser. So we've got Ruth and we've got Andy here from Elusive. So I'm told Andy's going to be talking us through this one and telling us a little bit about it. Some of you may recognize Andy from joining us for a number of Thornbridge Beer Club tasting evenings as well already. So thank you for joining us again, Andy. It's always good to have you on board. Exciting to be, doing the beer together as well this time too. So I'm going to tuck into mine here, if you don't mind talking us through the beer and, giving us a little more background on it.
Yeah, thanks, James, and thanks for having me on. It's nice to be on this side of the bar. Really enjoy these tastings as a beer club member. So yeah, it's quite exciting to talk about a beer we've had a hand in. Yeah, by all means, get the beer open and get stuck in, and I'll tell you the kind of backstory of the beer. It's actually the name. Let's start with the name. So Superuser. It's kind of a nerdy thing, and if you look at the label, there's a little Space Invaders game going on the side. My virtual background is blocking out. You can see it there. Our branding's all kind of 8-bit video games, very kind of computer game based. But the name itself, Superuser, is a bit of a nod to my background as a sysadmin or in IT before I started the brewery. And also Superuser is also known as Root in the Linux world of things. And this beer very much tells the story of the root of Elusive Brewing. And basically, I started Elusive in 2016. We're a small team. There's 3 full-time and a couple of part-time, and I'm joined also by Ruth, who's our operations director. That picture behind me is actually the night before our first brew day. It's never looked that clean since. But there it is. That's our little brewery. I've squeezed a lot more in there since. And yeah, you can barely get in the door, let's be honest, Ruth. But we managed to produce a fair amount of beer from our little unit. We've since taken a unit next door. I started as a home brewer, and that's where the story begins for this beer. I started home brewing properly in about 2012, and was mostly brewing American and Belgian inspired stuff. That was the stuff I enjoyed drinking. And I joined a homebrew club, London Amateur Brewers, and in 2013, Dominic Driscoll, who's the production manager, is that his title at Thornbridge? He gave a talk at Birmingham Beer Bash, which is a little craft beer festival in Birmingham, and his talk was on homebrewing, and specifically on recipe construction. And he talked about Thornbridge's Colorado Red, which was a collab with Doug Odell from Colorado, which is an English hopped red ale, which occasionally comes back and pops up. I wasn't at that talk, but a friend of mine was there, a member of our club, and put the recipe for that beer on our homebrew forum, a little clubs group that we had. Later that year, in 2013, the Craft Beer Co down in London, which is a small chain of craft beer pubs, ran a competition, and it was a national competition with the biggest ever prize that's been in UK homebrewing. It was a £5,000 prize, and to have the beer brewed at Dark Star. And of course, everybody wanted to win this thing. I was deciding what to enter and decided to brew an American red ale. And I basically took that recipe that my friend Andrew had got from Dominic at the talk he gave, and used some American hops in it, Simcoe and Citra. And to cut a long story short, that beer won the competition. And the £5,000 prize was a deposit on the kit you can see behind me. So it paid for 20% of that shiny stuff behind me there. And eventually, yeah, in 2016, we got up and running, we started Elusive. That Colorado Red, and my interpretation of it, is very much the root of Elusive Brewing. Earlier this year, no, it was late last year actually, all time has been compacted over the past couple of years. Ruth was at an event, Metopia in London, and got chatting to the Thornbridge team that were there, pouring alongside us, and we started talking about a collab, initially about a black IPA because it's one of my favourite styles. But when we started an email thread, I told the story of this beer, and we decided that we had to take Level Up as it was, which is our that American Red I brewed as a home brewer is now one of our core beers, and it was kind of take that and kind of go back to the Colorado Red and come up with a beer that merges the two. So that's the beer you're drinking here tonight. It's the 7% red IPA. The colour, it's a beautiful red colour if you hold it up. You see it on my camera there, but really like that kind of very deep amber red colour. Its colour comes from crystal malts. So Level Up uses a blend of 3 crystal malts, but the guys at Thornbridge looked at that and thought I was over-egging things a bit and have simplified it. So use Crystal T50 for the colour, Simpson's malt, lots of Munich malt to give it the body, and then you use your pale and a bit of wheat and Cara to give it some a nice kind of head retention and add a little bit more body to it. So in terms of the recipe, the hops, we use Simcoe and Columbus in the whirlpool or the hop back. And then it was dry hop with Galaxy. So in terms of tasting notes, I think you do it with a red ale. You always, for me, you can always smell the malts, like that kind of toffee caramel thing. It always sits behind the hops for me, and it's a nice kind of combination of aroma from the hops and the malt. Weirdly, for Galaxy, I always get kind of a strawberry thing from it. And you know that Guinness beer, the Guinness lager that they dropped last year, I always thought it tasted of strawberry sweets, and that was Galaxy hops. And then of course you've got that kind of pininess from Simcoe and that kind of slightly dank herbal edge that you get from the sea hops, the Columbus, and I think it comes together quite well. And when my beer club box arrived, which arrived before the pallet that we bought for our customers, I cracked it open. I was really excited to try it, and was so happy with it. It's exactly as we imagined it, and yeah, that's Superuser.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'd agree. The way, like you say, it melds that combination, that kind of sweetness coming in from quite a hefty bill of malts that we've used in here as well, along with those classic hops, a little bit of that Galaxy for that extra kind of juicy tropical. It really just works well. I'm a big red IPA fan, and this one certainly, yeah, the brewers, of course, yourself and the brew team have done a brilliant job, I think, putting this one together. And it's exciting having, you know, known you for a while now, and the whole brew team as well. It's great to be working together. And I can see the name seems to have got lots of people excited in the chat there as well. So that's always a good sign too. So yeah, certainly been fun to you know, be working together on the different beer and coming out with something. I saw a few people asking us about a black IPA as well, of course. Andy's been a big proponent of pushing for black IPAs, but I think a red IPA really does work on this one. So I'm glad that's what we went for in the end, and certainly living up to expectations too. So and again, the same sort of question for you both there. Is there anything we should look out for coming up from Elusive? Anywhere we can find you, any collabs, anything at all, really? Please tell us all about it.
Well, we're looking at expanding this year. That's a nice story to tell as well. We're looking at moving because we've run out of space. So that's the big thing we've got coming up as a business this year, and growing the team, which Ruth will be overseeing. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. In terms of beers, I'm probably going to forget to mention important things, so feel free to chime in, Ruth. But collabs, we've always loved doing collabs, and this one was a pretty special one for us, working with you guys. But we've got lots of collabs. We've got Imperial coming to visit soon, a brewery based in Gravesend in Kent. James and I know a long time. We're going to, I'll get a bit of a spoiler here, Burning Sky we're brewing with soon, which I'm really excited about. We've got to get that sorted out. So they've been in touch about that, which is exciting. What else we got coming up? Feel free to chime in, Ruth.
I'll unmute myself, shall I? Hey, yeah, lots of exciting. We've got another brew of our Dark Mild coming up, which was a bit of a runaway success. That's exciting. And Fresh Oregon Trail. But the main thing is that our tap room is now open every Friday and Saturday if people want to come and hang out, have a beer, chat to us, keep us entertained.
Perfect. That sounds good. And actually, one thing as well I can see in the chat there, Alan's just mentioned, I know you both mentioned it, the Oregon Trail, but if anyone hasn't had the chance to try it, I'm sure you may have seen it on social medias. It's a beer that's revered at the moment for being an absolutely fantastic example of the style from any brewery doing it at the moment. So make sure to give that one a try in the meantime if you haven't, alongside the new exciting collabs that you've got coming up. Burning Sky, I'm sure will be a fantastic one too there as well. So so yeah, thank you both. And if you want to, again, the same as if you pop a link in the chat or anything like that, you want people to find you out, that's probably the easiest way. Otherwise, across social media, you'll be able to find everyone as well on there too. So yeah, thank you. It's good to have you both on along with everyone else this evening as well. We got one more beer to talk through afterwards as well. But first, Khan, do you want to let everyone know what we've got next week? Khan set up all of his background on his Zoom call here, ready to go. Tell us all about the new beers that are upcoming. So please do.
All right, so coming up next month, you might have got an email from us or seen us on social media. We've got 5 beers this month, all 440 cans, 2 of each time. A couple of them are initially the cask releases, which have now been put in cans for the first time. One of which is Impromptu Ladder Convention, which was a collaboration with Bundobusts Brewery. It's a hazy pale ale. It's 4%, easy drinking. Nelson Sauvin Cashmere hops. That's what I say about it. It's been on our tap room. It's been across Bundobusts, and it's been a really good one to drink. We've got McConnell's, another cask favorite, which is Vanilla Stout. another 5% beer, just a great, easy to drink stout as well. Other than that, all three of them are really, really hoppy IPAs. We got a return of 2 collabs, which we've done in the past. Twin Peaks, which was actually Sierra Nevada's first UK collab. It's not technically a collab with them anymore at the moment, but it's a 5% Anglo-American Pale Ale, which uses an English malt base and really the classic West Coast American hop coverage. It's been incredibly popular in the past, so really happy to have that again. Pondera, which you might remember if you're in Beer Club for a while. We had it last year, and we bring that back. 6.7% West Coast IPA, absolute banger. Everyone I've talked to seems to really, really like it. And one of our earlier uses of Idaho 7 as well. And the big one, the really heavy hitter of this month, I think, is Double Green Mountain, which is double the strength, double the hops, double the malt, for everything of the Green Mountain, which you all know and love. Yeah, it's an Imperial version of Green Mountain and does what it says on the tin. Fantastic hazy Imperial IPA. And you get 2 of it.
Well, thanks, Khan. Yeah, it's going to be a great box next month. So thank you for the rundown there, particularly for those of you who, tried the Blunderbuss beer before. For me personally, I love eating at Blunderbuss, so anything to do with them is always great. The cask beer we've done together is really fun. And so to get it into can for the first time as well is going to be really good too. If you haven't had the chance, they have locations in a few places around the north, so check out Blunderbuss, get excited for the beer, and then you can drink it in a can afterwards too. So that'll be next month. But to finish up a little bit here and talk about the last beer we have at the moment. So Necessary Evil, as Beer Club members, you'll recognize, of course, this is one of our barrel aged beers, and one that's absolutely, really, it is very well known for, as it's one, we do a 12% version. We put it into bourbon barrels. And last year, I took it personally, kegs, to a couple of different festivals I went to. And it was voted in the top 5% of both of these by a huge amount of big beer fans. It's been all over the place and is one that people always come back and ask for. And one thing we thought about was, well, we do the original beer, and of course it's great. And then we put it in bourbon barrels, and it's just explodes onto the palate with all this flavor. And we thought, well, the way to do something different with it is to try different barrels instead. And so we've played around at the brewery, with wine barrels. We've done gin barrels before. And so we're actually, if you keep an eye out this year, we'll be playing around with some more different barrels too. But this one we've put it into is cognac. So it's going to be quite just very different, very interesting. And hopefully, if you've not tried it yet, like I say, if you've started through a few beers, you don't need to, of course, jump straight into the 13% Imperial Stout we've got here. However, if you do, you'll certainly be enjoying it. So you open it up and you instantly get that pitch black. I mean, we measure the color of all of our beers at the brewery in the laboratory as well. And this is by far one of the darkest beers that we do. I mean, the series is called Necessary Evil, of course. So you'd hope for a nice dark beer from that. You get that head on it. It's not white on here. You're getting that nice kind of tan, almost getting towards that kind of dark coffee-ish color on the top there. And then when you get into it, the aroma is really going to come through. So straight away, you can tell, in the same way as from the Necessary Evil bourbon barrel, this one, you instantly get that recognition flavor. You get that cognac starting to come into it. So you give it a swirl, you give it a smell. And for me, of course, with the Imperial Stout in there as well, that dark fruit's going to come in too. So you start to get that almost that big winey character. Then it goes straight into the kind of plum and raisin from there as well. The cognac, that kind of candied fruit. There's a little spice coming into it. And you can tell if you line this up alongside, if you've got a nice Friday evening and you're sitting down already, you can line this up alongside the Necessary Evil bourbon, and putting the both together, you'll realize actually the flavor that comes through from us aging these down. We put them for 8 months in these different barrels. And we're hoping, again, through doing this series of these in the same way we've done the Quiet Storm, we want to be able to showcase all of these different flavors and these different things that you can do. So this one for me is a real winner. It is a bit of a sipping beer. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this through the rest of the evening as well, for sure. But hopefully you'll, if you haven't tried the bourbon one, you can go back and try it alongside, but you'll hopefully enjoy this one too. So for me, it takes the Imperial Stout that we have, the fantastic Necessary Evil original, and just amplifies it. It umps it up and gives it a whole different dimension that you don't get through other means. So yeah, hopefully people are enjoying this. Hopefully people don't have work too early tomorrow morning if they're drinking this one now as well. And then from there, Rebs, have we had any sort of questions, anything else coming through in the chat at all that we should pick up with people?
Lots of love for Superuser, which is no surprise, which is nice. A couple of people saying they're saving Necessary Evil. Yeah. Just having a look. Yeah, question about why the beers are always so strong. We try and get a mixture of strengths in the case. We always want to make sure it's good value for what it is, for one thing. And I mean, we're sort of professionals at brewing strong beers, I think, really, you know, from Jaipur being 5.9%, we've kind of taken it on from there. But we do try and get a mixture. And, you know, quite often there is some big hitters, but we do try and keep it as balanced as we can. More versions of Necessary Evil. Will there be more versions this year? Yes, there will be.
Yeah.
You know, keep your eyes peeled up for those. What they will be, we won't give any teasers away as yet, but yes, it is going to be a series, so that's something to look forward to. It's for Peakender, not as yet. We've still got quite a few things to sort, but Charlotte and I have been furiously making spreadsheets over the last couple of days. Mainly her. I'm not so good with Excel, but you know, she's a bit of a whiz. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're hoping to release dates and get tickets back on sale. It's just been quite a complicated process. And yeah, I think that's about it. Don't think I've missed anything.
I can certainly attest to that, having seen Rebecca and Charlotte spending most of today just piled in a corner, just working furiously away on getting Peakender up and running for this year. So full credit to them. It's a big project. It's something we all work hard on across the brewery, but yeah, particularly even today, just seeing them going at it, it's going to be a very exciting event. So please do keep an eye out for any news coming out about that for anyone excited, any Peakender fans, anyone wanting to come up and see us later this year as well. So, and then heads up on the hops. We're going to do quite a few of the Quiet Storm series. So it will be a range of hops. Again, like I say, we wanted to trial it. I saw one mention of a different Idaho 7, but again, it wasn't that common. We'll do some beers that you'll have seen maybe other ones of, but we'll give a bit of we might try some will be hazy versions, some will be clear versions like this. So we'll be able to see what each one does. But yeah, you'll see more of those coming through as well, for sure. We will have a good range of them alongside also, of course, the Necessary Evils too. And as you say, yeah, the strengths, the styles, we will keep trying to match them up. Can't run through it. Next month, we'll have, you know, some of them are 4 and 5%. Some of them are 8.5%. So they will certainly get a bit stronger again next month too, but hopefully we keep enough balance. And as always, if there's any feedback at all from Beer Club or anything like that on the beers, you know, tweet us, send us messages on Facebook, email us, anything like that. We're always excited to see too. So yeah, other than that, I think we got through all those. And again, if you've got any questions pop up or anything about any of these beers, get in touch as well with that. We're always excited to hear from everyone here too. But otherwise, you know, mainly want to say thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening, who've come over from Brewgooder, from Wild, from Elusive. So yeah, thank you very much to Harrie, Sam, Ruth and Andy there as well. James from joining us from the brew team, and of course, team marketing coming along as well. But mainly to everyone who's joined us again after Christmas. I know we had a good crowd on there too, and great to see some faces coming back in the new year. Hopefully we'll see you at some of the events that Charlotte's been putting on. We'll meet everyone up in person or pop out to see us at the tap room in the brewery. And Alan, who was kicking around on here, he'll be over at those events in Manchester too coming up. So Yeah, that rounds us through. Please, again, get in touch. Anything else you want to see from us as well. Have a great night. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of this one myself. And yeah, please take care. Have a good evening. See you all next month.
Cheers all.
Cheers, guys.